Welcome to Paper Defiance, a fortnightly podcast all about indie bookshops and their owners. My name's Alex, and I'm recording this on Wattawarong land in Ballarat, Australia. It's exciting to have you join me. In today's episode, I talk to Shaqueal, who is in the midst of doing something very exciting. That is, she's setting up her physical bookshop. Shaqueal lives in an area of Los Angeles with very few small businesses and no other bookshops. So the difficulties and practicalities of actually getting a space are part of what we discuss. More than that, we also discuss her reasons for opening a bookshop at all. Over the last few months doing this podcast, I've been pretty inspired by the people who run bookshops. Not to open one for myself, but to appreciate the role a bookshop can play in a community. Shaqueal takes that passion to a whole new level. I was very excited to talk to her, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed doing it.
My name is Shaqueal Atkins. I am a native of Los Angeles, specifically Watts South Central, and I have been in this book business for 2 years, so I'm an infant.
That's very exciting. For people who don't know Los Angeles very well, what's your area like? Is it urban, suburban, really built up? What's the deal?
Absolutely urban. Has a bunch of warehouses, industrial, and completely smushed together. So many houses and apartments on top of each other. Working class community, dare I say, one of the most poorest cities in California.
Wow, okay. So you got into the book business 2 years ago. Why?
Great question. I got into the book business because there was a lack in my community. My community, I consider it abandoned. There's not many smaller businesses. Often for people in our community, even Compton, we have to travel outside of our community to have access to movie theaters, bookstores. It's just yoga. And I believe that we are used to it. We're like, okay, time for me to get ready to go to a yoga class 7 miles away. You know, it's insane to think about it. But major big corporations are here that aren't very healthy and good for the community. Fast food chains, things like that. A lot of smoke shops, liquor stores, and tons of religious organizations dwell in this area too. But the small business, the foot traffic for that, completely non-existent.
So how does that lead to a book business in particular? Why not some other sort of small business for you?
Great question, Alex. Because I'm obsessed with books and I no longer wanted to give money to large corporations. No shade, but it's just the closest bookstore to me that I'm familiar with that's owned by a Black woman is the Salt Eaters Book Club. It's located in Inglewood. And I would have to go out of my way to visit these bookstores. And despite my love for it and admiration, I was like, you know what? I'm going to open a bookstore here. And I was the response was not what I expected at all.
In a good way or a bad way?
Oh my God, Alex. It was bad. I actually went on a date with a young man. We're from the same area, you know, and I'm a single mom of 2. So I'm just excited to go out to eat. I'm excited to be with a man. And I'm like, yeah, I want to open a bookstore. And he's like, nobody in Watts read. And I'm like, you want me to be with you? And you're telling, I'm from Watts. I read. I have friends that are from Watts. They read. What do you mean? He's like, yeah, but if you open up a bookstore, it won't make any money at all. And he just gulped his margarita down, and I made sure he paid for my meal. But I was just like, is this what people think about us? So navigating this space and telling my parents and telling everyone like, hey, I'm going to open a bookstore. And they're just like, nah, why don't you sell nails or do eyelashes? That seems pretty popular on TikTok. It was a gut punch, without a doubt.
So with that sort of reaction how did you go about actually starting your bookshop?
I started collecting books. I had to collect books. I needed to build up my library. But I wanted to not sell books, not yet. My community is all about respect. If there is no respect, you ain't got nothing. So I had to let my community members know, like, hey, I'm going to give back books first. No one was crazy about the idea. I started collecting books from coworkers, the person that I worked for, my grandma, all these great books that were in really good condition. I decided to start donating them to women that are incarcerated in California. I had to get those books out of here. In addition to that, I had to donate books because my children go to public daycares, state-funded daycares. I had to collect books and donate it back to them one by one. So I was knocking at doors like, hi, I know you have a daycare here. I got 10 books. And they were just so grateful and thankful. So I was just collecting, giving back books. And then I got noticed by our city councilman. He gave me a $5,000 sponsorship for my efforts. He was like, congratulations to you. Your name is everywhere. Everyone's so proud of you. Here's $5,000 to continue giving back books. And next, you know, I'm getting all these follows on social media and people are just like, hey, I have books for you. And started talking to people online. What really gave me the most attention and encouraged me to continue was my community support, specifically the younger generations. They wanted access to books that they didn't have in their school. They had book clubs at their school. So it was my job. I felt, well, my duty to provide that. And it was so encouraging dropping off these books with these young kids. I'm like, you guys probably hate me. Who is this old lady in here? But they were just like, thank you so much for the books. I was giving them books that were diverse, discuss topics that they may not experience in their household. I kind of felt like I was the cool kid. I was like, wow, they gravitated toward books so much. And I just felt like it's my job. So in addition to selling books, I'm still donating books on a monthly basis. It's beautiful. And I think we're all navigating towards a space where this is an ongoing pandemic, but I feel like everyone is seeking fellowship again outside of religious organizations. They want the book clubs. They want to chat. They want to make friends. They're new to the area. So I'm with all of that and I'm open to all of that. And I just didn't want to feel like such a nerd, like, hello, you want to read books with me? Like, you know, like, could we be friends? But it was, hey, there's a safe space for this romantic novel that I wouldn't call romance. I'll call it smut straight up. But, you know, we're like, that lady in the church, we're like reading this book together. We're talking about it. We're leaving reviews. We're being honest. There is a space for readers again. And I love that people are discovering their passion for reading again after some haven't read in over 10 years.
So with such a initially difficult reception and then an area that doesn't seem to welcome small businesses, how do you get like a physical bookshop happening in your area?
It was a great opportunity for me to network. I was scared. I've been working all my life since I was 14, and it's not hard for me to work and hustle and make friends, but it's hard for me to maintain it. So I had to get in an area of my life where I'm like, okay, you got to email that person back and circle back. You got to tap that person on the shoulder. So many buildings in Watts are abandoned. They haven't been in use in years, and they're owned by families, religious organizations, completely abandoned. So reaching out to these areas, these companies, it was dead end. My area isn't as gentrified as the other parts of LA. So I was calling and the numbers weren't going through. And I finally got in contact with one person that said, look, I don't want you to open up a marijuana shop. And I was like, what? Like, sir, I have books and my friend, she has coffee. Like, let us in. So that was the only one to respond to us. And it's been quite difficult, but we are intentional. In addition to operating a coffee and bookstore, a cafe, we wanted to be close to train stations within the area. We wanted people to know, like, hey, the things that we are using within this company we're all about sustainability. We need these things updated. I noticed there's no charging stations in Watts. California is pushing towards an all electronic state in the next 10 to 12 years. And yeah, these conversations are awesome, but what about the inner city? We have no charging stations. What do you want us to do? We're always the last to know. So I had to make a push. And the way that I got the state and LA County to care about what I'm doing, I'm like, look, green stuff. I care about the environment. And they're like, oh, yeah, you do. Give her money. Yeah. Like, it's that. Like, I want our permits to be up to date. There's certain programs within Los Angeles County that will invest in you because we are considered a Jedi zone. These locations are dead end. There's nobody here. If you open up something, we'll give you $12,000. That's how desperate they are. So I'm scared, but I'm totally for it. I'm like, let's try, you know? It's a scary game.
That really does sound quite intimidating. You must have been really pulling an A-grade hustle in your brain to be able to make that all work.
In addition to working full-time.
And being a mom.
And raising 2 kids. Yeah, it has been insane, but there's so much beauty in it because I feel like I'm making a slight change, and it's weird. I feel like Michael Jordan, it all started with a basketball, or whoever said that, but it's like it all started with the book. So it's possible, and I want other places to open and emerge in our area without feeling like, no one's going to buy from me. It's a capitalistic world, and it's crazy, but I feel like I feel good when I invest in something that's in my city and I'm supporting that person, you know, that looks like me and who's struggling just like me. So I feel like it's possible.
Can I ask about the physical space? What did you think about when you were setting it up? You know, what are your shelves like and those sorts of things?
It's still in the works. We're supposed to launch in the summer. I wanted to walk in and it just be done. And no, absolutely. You're looking at a place that has been abandoned for so long that if we were to walk, the floor will cave in. The city is quite helpful with the exterior, but we have to do everything else. And all I can picture is comfort. All I can think about is being familiar. I want someone to come in and I want them to feel like they belong. I want you to have fun. I want you to hear our music playlist. I want you to like, oh, this feels good. This is entertaining. This is fun. This is familiar. There's an attack on homelessness in Los Angeles. So there's not many places to sit, to relax, to read. You're at the bus stop. There's no benches because they fear that someone will sleep on it. So you're standing and waiting at the bus. The local Starbucks in Watts has no chairs because they don't want you to sit. It's called loitering. So how can I introduce this back to a community that has been, it's almost like forbidden. Don't sit down for too long, you know? We don't have that. And I'm sure that's in most urban cities, you know? I want chairs. I want a couch. I want people to just come in there and relax regardless if you buy a book or not. You deserve to sit and feel rested. Your bus is on the way in an hour. Come in. Have a grab a coffee. We want to not look gentrified. We don't want the plain walls, the neutral colors. We want to bring color back. There has been an attack on color. Like it's it's insane. It's insane. I want it to feel like home. I want community gatherings there. There is a bit of a void with our local police, especially with the shootings that have happened. We're only not even 2 months into the new year, and LAPD and the LA County Sheriff has killed over 7 people. I want to make amends and see what they have to say. I want to hear from our local councilmen in the area. Stop on by because this is home. This is how you get in touch with us instead of that generic Instagram message. Nobody wants to be on Instagram all day. Like, you know, I want family. I want culture to come back. But it's going to be quite difficult because people don't trust. And I do understand people are going to take photos and look around and post it on the gram. I get it. But I want you to put your phone down for a second. I want you to strike up a conversation with someone next to you. It's going to be hard, but it's possible.
So I'm imagining like lots of thrift shop sofas and comfy chairs and those sorts of things. Do you have a plan for what sorts of books you want to put on the shelves as well?
Yes, of course. Most book shops in Los Angeles, they have like a niche audience, which is perfectly fine. I found online that my strongest book sales are with sexual history. Memoirs are really popular. I just want to make sure that I'm catering to my audience. Like, okay, so you like to know the history of sex in Thailand? Awesome. I'll throw up 60 of those on the shelf right now. So it's we have our children's books, we have our romance, but what's really popular is I give a voice to people in the area. I'm like, hey, Kiara, what are your top 10 books? She comes put them on the shelf and she goes, hey guys, these are the books that I'm reading right now or that I absolutely love. Check it out. I want everyone to have a voice. I want everyone to feel included. There's certain bookstores in LA that only cater to a certain demographic, which is awesome. Women only. I'm all for that. My favorite bookstore only sells books by women. And like, it's incredible, I love it. But I'm going to switch things up a bit and I'm going to have a book, a little bit of something for everyone. There's a lot of schools in Watts. So I want to make sure I'm catering to our young adults, our teens, a lot of sci-fi. I don't know, but I'm going to have it all in there, baby.
You mentioned that it'll have the cafe kind of part of it as well. Is that really about that whole idea of building community and having a space for people to just sit and chill?
Yes. There aren't any cafe shops in Watts, Compton. You would have to go to your local fast food chain to grab a cup of coffee in the morning, Jack in the Box, things like that. So we were kind of afraid. My friend Natalie, she owns Cafecita. All of the coffee is a proceeds of the sales goes to the women that she sources the coffee from. The coffee is all sourced from women from Rwanda to Chile to Mexico. Like she's working it, she's getting it and establishing amazing partnerships. Everything she does is with intention and I'm obsessed with it. So morally we aligned because I'm like, hey, I want to give back books. I want to bring literacy home. And she's like, hey, I don't want to support big businesses anymore. Why does Starbucks get all the glory? Like, what about us? Our coffee tastes way better. So we were just thinking, she's like, why not we go into this together? And I'm like, I'm scared. She's like, me too. Because right now we do everything online. So now it's do or die. We're going to launch and I pray that people buy 1 million cups of coffee a day and they leave with 12 books per hour. So like we're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves, but this would be incredible for the city. Fellowship community, that's all I'm focused on at the moment.
Has there been a more positive reaction to the idea of you having a physical bookshop, having already been doing the online things that you've been doing for the last couple of years?
There has been mostly from women. The support from women have been incredible. There's a huge push. I get messages daily saying, wow, your playlist on Spotify is awesome. I can't wait to actually hear this in person in your shop. Or, hey, this is a great book. We should all discuss this at the next book club meeting. The support has been great. It blows my mind. Sometimes I was storing books at my home. I was running out of space and someone was like, here's $100 towards a storage unit for you. Like, people support me. And I'm like, gosh, I really want to put this in my gas tank right now, but I'm going to do right by this $100, because it's a tough business, especially when you can order a book online and it arrives in less than 48 hours. I'm trying. The support is there. The love is there, but it's still that bit of doubt because, small businesses doesn't last too long. I see business open and close within a year. Often. So I'm like, oh, it's a lot of pressure.
If you're thinking big and thinking really positively, what are you hoping for the next 12 months for your bookshop?
The next 12 months, I hope to be able to host. I would love to host spaces with authors instead of going online and doing it and talking on Instagram. Like, I would love to invite someone in, have their book on display and just show respect. Releasing your work is so stressful. And it's kind of scary, especially if you don't have a huge publishing company behind you. So I want to be able to give a push to those new authors who are independent or releasing via Amazon or I want to show love. And I can't wait to see someone face to face and have an audience, 3, 4, 30 people just singing their praises. I think writers are incredible and we need them so much.
Do you have plans for like the really, I was going to say boring, they're not boring, the minute details, things like what days you're going to be open and your hours and those sorts of things? You've already got a plan there, I assume.
Oh, yeah. I will not work on Monday. I will not.
I'm with you.
Gosh, the pressure. It's like Sunday. You're already anxious. Like, well, let me get ready for this. I will not work on Monday. I'll probably be open from like Tuesday to Friday. And the hours will probably be super simple, like 8 to 2. I'm not going to, those late night bookshops that are open are awesome, but I have worked so hard in my life that I need rest. And I like to do things in the daytime, and I love to come home to my kids and water my little plants and try my best. So it won't be insane. Most of the bookshops that I enjoy, they're open from like Wednesday to Sunday, like 2 to 5. Like they're legit, like get your books and go. So I'm trying to live a life as simple as that. I'm praying that this will open doors in my life financially. I don't want to be a billionaire. I just want to be okay. And living in Los Angeles, it's pretty intimidating because of how expensive it is. But I have so much faith in what I do. And I pray that I can inspire others to get out there. Let's bring it back. Let's bring back the local bookshop on the corner. Let's bring back the good music, talking, chatting. Your favorite employee is there. There is no community lately, and everyone's pulling out their phones and recording one another when we can just simply say hello,
One of the questions I often ask on this podcast is, what do you think the point of a bookshop is? But I don't think I need to ask that, because I'm pretty sure that that's basically what we've been talking about for the last little bit.
No, it's real. It's real. And I want 1 million bookshops. I don't gatekeep at all. So if anyone has any questions, Our Watts Bookshop, feel free to reach out. I will answer any questions, consults for free. I do it all because I want people to like, hey, you know what? I have like a knack for comic books. We're missing comic books. Like, let's bring that back. Let's bring it on back. So I'm excited. It just feels good.
Well, my last question for you then is, what are you reading at the moment?
Ooh. I am that person, everyone. I am reading several things at once. It's a book by my bed. It's an audio book. It's pretty insane. What am I reading? Okay. So I picked up Octavia Butler. This was donated to me. Seed to Harvest. A lovely young lady was like, hi, I'm moving to Brazil and I have a bunch of books for you. And I'm like, perfect. I can resell it or I could donate it to women that are incarcerated. She was like, but I think you should read this one. So I kept it for myself. I just got started on it over the weekend. I'm a sucker for passive reading. A book that I just completed was The Princess Trap by Talia Hibbert. I'm a sucker for her, and it was so fun. The audiobook is even better. So please.
I'm so excited that you're reading Octavia Butler. I love those books so much.
I'm excited for a good getaway. I just want to be somewhere else other than here and checking the emails with the bills. So I'm really happy.
Thank you so much for listening to this 13th episode. If you enjoyed it, consider leaving a rating or a review, or just tell someone else about it. You can find Paper Defiance on Twitter as Paper Defiance Pod, on Instagram as Paper Defiance, and on Facebook it's Paper Defiance Podcast, and we're also on YouTube. This podcast is created and produced by me, Alexandra Pierce. The music is called Loopster by Kevin MacLeod, and you can find the attribution at paperdefiance.com.